Here's a fairly typical house. It looks okay, or maybe needs a lick of paint, but appearances can be deceptive. Buying a house is a big investment. Can you tell its true condition just by looking at it? A mortgage valuation is just that. It's a visual inspection. It might pick up some defects, but are there other less obvious problems lurking beneath the surface? Let's go inside and see what a full in-depth survey would reveal. Right, well, straight away as I come in, I can feel that the floor under my foot here is really springy, and that indicates to me there's a problem in the floor. Let's have a look and see what we can find under here. Well, as I said to you, the floor's really springy because the floorboards are rotten. In a house of this age, which is about 100, 110 years of age, it's not uncommon for the subfloor ventilation to be inadequate, and in this case I think this has led to the development of rot within the floor. If I use a penknife, you can see that these boards really are rotten and need to be replaced. The cost of replacing this is going to be quite expensive, and I don't think would necessarily be brought to your attention on a mortgage valuation. Now that we've found evidence of rot within the floor in the hallway, for me, when undertaking a private survey, it would be really important to make sure that I checked all of the rooms for evidence of further rot, but also dampness within the walls themselves. And to do this, I'm going to use a penknife and a moisture meter. Now, the moisture meter here, the button on green shows that the meter is on. And you'll see that if I put my finger across the top, it will go to red, and that means that there's too much moisture in the wall. Now, in this area of the property, there's not any evidence of rising dampness, but I can see here that the boards are beginning to break up, and that's just barely visible to the eye. So I will use a penknife just to prod into the boards to see if there's any evidence of rot, and you can see that the knife is moving in quite easily in a number of locations, which is a further indication of more rot within the structure. It's important when using the meter to be able to get to the wall and check. And although there's no visible signs of dampness, you can see there that the meter is going straight to the top, which is an indication that there's moisture in the walls. I'm going to move this area board out here as well. Check, and again, this whole wall is damp. To overcome it, you will need to have proper damp proofing treatment. This isn't visual, and therefore if you were doing your own inspection or on a mortgage valuation, it may not necessarily be detected. Earlier on we talked about the evidence of wood rot in the hall floor. In a house of this age, I'd also expect to find evidence of woodworm. In this section of timber here, you can clearly see a large number of pin-like holes, which is evidence of wood-boring insects coming out of the timber. There's also evidence of dust on the floor, which comes from those exit holes. This house will require timber treatment to be undertaken under a specialist guarantee. This is typical of a type of defect that a building survey or home buyer's report would bring to your attention. This house is of traditional construction. The walls are formed from brick, which is laid to a solid bond rather than a cavity wall. The roof is pitched and it's been recovered with roofing slates. The chimneys are brick, and it's evident from looking at them that the pointing is worn. And where the pointing is worn and there's no evidence of clear capping to the top of the chimney, I would expect there to be damp penetration into the property. So when I go upstairs, I'm going to check to see if there's any evidence of dampness in the upstairs chimney. Well, quite clearly this part of the property has been affected by damp penetration. I've no doubt this will be picked up on the mortgage valuation. When you check with a damp meter, there's no evidence of any current dampness here, which indicates that the repair they've undertaken externally has proved effective to date. However, what particularly bothers me is that where water's been coming through here for a long time, the timbers will be wet. Now that the roof's been repaired, I'm concerned that dry rot may have developed in parts of the structure which we can't currently see. On a private inspection for a home buyers or building survey, we will be recommending that you cut this area out and arrange for a further inspection to confirm the condition of the timbers before you purchase the property. These have been typical examples of defects a survey might expect to pick up. Whoever buys this house should know the full picture before they commit to the purchase. The survey will give them peace of mind or prevent them from making a mistake that could cost them thousands of pounds. When you buy your next home, can you afford to ignore that risk? For an expert in-depth survey from surveying professionals, talk to Romans and let us help you discover the true condition of your new home.